When you're raising chickens, there are a total of 5 key principles that really go into raising a successful batch of chickens. And today, I'm going to show you what those 5 key principles are, and I'm going to give you guys a bonus principle at the end of this video to help make sure that your chickens are living a long and prosperous life. Before we even get into this video, you know what to do. Go down below, click that like and subscribe button. We try and reach 5K by the end of the year. But without any further ado, let's show you what these principles are. The first key principle that I want you guys to really zero in on is making sure you spend as much time as possible with your chickens. And no, this isn't really because of the fact that they really boost your mental health, even though they do. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is preventing scenes that look like this from happening in your yard. These are 2 chickens that were formerly alive, but no longer are, because of this bobcat. He left for a week, found out that his food source was exhausted, and eventually came back to bite everyone like that. We're down to 13 or 14 in this flock, guys. We're at pet flock numbers in this flock now. That's wild to think that at the beginning of the summer we had 30. We lost over half of them because of some bobcat that got too lazy. So that's why spending a lot of time out with your chickens is essential to them. Because guys, if you don't, your chickens will be dying really quickly because these predators are going to strike whenever they see an opportunity. And when they don't see you out here, they'll go for the kill. But sometimes they might have a little bit more, bravery that day. Like I was right here, right? I was in a call with one of my friends and I was over there, and a bobcat thinks he can go snatch up a chicken right in front of me. But thankfully I was right there and scared him off into these bushes. In fact, right before I clicked record, I saw something dart across this grass here. I'm not too sure if it was actually a bobcat or not. But guys, he wants the chickens, he wants your chickens, he wants anyone's chickens. So that's why spending enough time out with your chickens is essential. The next thing that I then want you guys to do is check and see if they have water very frequently. Because guys, your chickens are gonna need that water to make sure that they're as healthy as possible. And the biggest part about this that I really wanna nail down over here is make sure that your water is in an area where they can easily access it, but more importantly, where they can easily be removed and brought over for refills. If you have a chicken flock around this size, you're gonna need about 2 refills per day. If you have a chicken flock around my pet flock size, who's also a bit older, you're not even gonna need any refills because of the fact that they're already not really drinking as much as this flock. Because when we had 30 chickens in this flock, we were sometimes giving them as much as 4 refills a day, especially when the weather was incredibly hot out. Thankfully, as you guys saw in the intro, it ain't really hot out anymore. As you guys can see, I'm in the sweater right now, yo. It's no longer hot out. That's the good part. But the bad part is that it requires a little bit of energy, around maybe a little under 1,000 steps to refill it. Just go to the hose, turn it on, and make sure they have constant water, because this is one of those no-brainer tips that I'm pretty sure everyone should know. But make sure they frequently have enough water to make sure that they're hitting all the goals they need. The next thing I want you guys to do is make sure that there's no things that in your yard that'll get your chickens injured. This right here is an example of something that's going to get my chickens injured. Why? Because as you can see, only some of these are latched in here. Others are just missing. And when you nail these in here, as you can clearly see, there are nails. So these are staples, but the rest of them were nails. And there's nails sticking up under here too because of the way we nailed them in. So we need to make sure that there's literally no nails here, because if they do, they step on it, they get a little injury. They're not big nails, so they're not going to hurt as much as if you step on a nail. I've stepped on a nail multiple times. It really hurts, guys. I'm not joking. It really does hurt. Don't do it. But when your chickens step on a nail, they're going to be using all of that energy to help make sure that they recover. And instead of like laying eggs or doing something else that's even more important and beneficial to you and them, they're just going to be spending a lot of the time just not really eating too much and trying to make sure they're recovering. This gray chicken right here has some advice to give you. What she did was she injured herself and she sat in the nesting box for a month. We thought she was going broody, and then we realized she had an injury, so we thought she was injured. We took her out of the nesting box and realized, oh, she's fully recovered. There's no issues with this chicken. Why is she still in the nesting box? Probably because she wanted to go broody. Now, number 4 is to make sure you're collecting your chicken eggs 2 times during the day. At least 2 times a day, at the very least. First time is when you let them out in the morning, or when you go do your little routine. If you don't let them out, you probably have an automatic door that lets them out, so you go in there and go collect the eggs. And then yet again in the evening when you put them away to go count them up. The reason why you want to collect eggs, you're like, oh, I could just wait another day. Nope, don't do that. because you never know if your chickens will be eating those eggs. This flock, if you lay a shell-less egg, they'll take the really small mushy shell. They'll eat that. Maybe not like an actual full chicken egg, but you never know with these chickens. My old farm flock did have issues with eating eggs, and we did have to deal with that by putting a trail camera in the chicken coop and finding out who was the culprit. It was my old Buff Orpington, who actually died due to a fox attack, I think 3 or 4-ish days later after that fact in 2023. That was quite the interesting unfolding events, but after that we never had any more issues with chickens getting, like injured and stuff, like their eggs getting destroyed and stuff like that. You don't want that to happen, right? I don't think anybody wants that to happen. So make sure you're collecting them at least 2 times a day. In fact, make that 3, maybe even 4 times a day to ensure that the eggs are not going to be destroyed. Chickens generally lay eggs from around 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. The majority of their eggs are laid at around 11-ish a.m. So right after that prime time, that's when I'd probably go out there to go collect some eggs. Now the 5th principle I came up with for this video was going to be keep your pets away. But I realized that when I was finished making the outline of this video, that was a pretty mediocre one. So after this one, I'm gonna give you guys a 6th one for the sake of this video being as good as possible. But guys, I'm serious. Keep the dogs away. The cats, they can be over there. But in general, keep the dogs especially away. You don't want to do that thing called, F around and find out. If you know, you know. You don't want to be doing any of that stuff around your chickens. My puppy Linguini is going to be that has attacked multiple of my chickens because they're simply in the dog yard at that time. And when she attacks them, she doesn't realize how bad of a damage she's actually doing to the chickens. She just likes to chase things around. Your dog would likely do the same thing, no matter how much of an angel you say they are. They could be the greatest trained dog. Even if they are the greatest trained dog, they will still go after chickens regardless of what you might think. Now for real this time, the last principle I want to talk about here is don't be afraid to experiment a little bit with your chickens. This is our pet flock, our original 9 chickens. Well, there's 3 now because recently Abs died, and of course we had that big attack last July. So really, they're kind of our experimental flock. They had Falcon in this flock for a while. He passed away this summer. We had numerous other chickens that I moved in here to just kind of see what happens. However, they are also the main attention, and that's also an experiment too. So do a little bit of experimentals with your chickens. Experimentals, what? But make sure you're at least testing out new things with your chickens. So, you want to get an automatic coop door? Go do that. You want to test out some new feed or whatever? Try it. If you don't like the outcome, then literally just either try another one or go back to the original. It's really good, especially to experiment with chickens, because they're also very experimental creatures as well. They love new things, especially when it comes to grazing and foraging. Try that new treat, man. It's gonna be really useful. But do you want to know what else would be really useful other than just treats, It's finding out exactly what the best one for your chickens are. Guys, I made a tier list of chicken treats right there in that video. Be sure to check it out. It's entertaining. Even if you're not interested in chicken treats, I still think you'll find some humor out of it. I'll catch you guys in that video.